Hey everybody, this is my dog, Naya. And while she looks like a dog, she's actually still a puppy. She's only 4 months old. And when I got her, she was 23 pounds. I took her back to the shelter a few days ago to get her final inoculations, and they weighed her again, and she was 33 pounds. She gained just 10 pounds in the 3 weeks that she's been with me. And as I say, she's only 4 months old, so she is going to be a big dog. So, all dogs like to eat cow poop. There's nothing to do about it. But one blessing with Naya here is that she does not lick faces. So, there's a blessing. My grandfather, my mother's father, apparently never had any money, and yet he always had enough money to buy anything made of metal. This pasture, this 10 acres, used to be just chock full of old trucks and road graders and other bulldozers and other not working construction equipment, school buses. He always had money to buy junk, which he would store here, and he always had money to buy land. So he bought lots of land, but he never had money for anything else. So most of the land has been sold off over time. But this 10 acres on which I'm living now, well, it's attached to the house, so this will be the last to go. But that barn, I mean, it's in pretty sad shape now, but when I was a kid, like when I was a young child, I remember playing in that barn, playing up in the loft. I remember watching my grandmother milk cows in that barn. And we have a dairy farm, not a dairy farm, a dairy barn on an adjacent piece of property over that way. But it's called a grade A dairy barn. It's supposed to be, clean conditions, but like everything else, it's just storage for junk. It's full of, I call it junk. My mother, who did not live through the Depression, but her parents did, she certainly picked up that "don't let anything go, don't throw anything away" mentality. I don't have it, but I'm equally disorganized in my thought processes and basically in my life. But because I've moved so many times over the course of my life, I just can't accumulate a whole bunch of stuff. So the puppy, Naya, has not been an unmitigated joy. She's got some, well, we're struggling with some bad behavior from her. Most notably, when she's around my mother or my brother, she just goes crazy. I mean, she loves them. She absolutely adores them, but she treats them like her litter mates, and she's just jumping and mouthing and biting, and particularly with my mom, who just won't tell her no, until the dog bites hard enough that it really hurts or draws blood or something. And then my mom will tell no. And I try to explain to my mom, you can't trust the dog to appreciate subtle degrees of bad behavior. You can't tolerate jumping up, period. As soon as it happens, you have to correct the dog, and she just won't. So, I make a point of putting the leash on the dog when she's in the house and, taking her into the room with my mom and my brother. And every time she goes to jump up, just holding her down so that, she's just physically prevented from jumping up. And it works for a little while. And then, the lesson wears off, and suddenly she's just, she tears around, she leaps onto the furniture, she leaps up on people. And it's not her teeth that are the major danger, it's her claws. And they're not sharp, they're just hard, and she's big and strong. And still just a puppy. Um, I guess another blessing, though, is that being part lab, she's fine at bath time. She, as long as the water's warm, she's happy to stand there in the tub and get sprayed and get shampooed and rinsed off. And she's totally good with it. My previous dog, Ungo, he hated bath time, and he was a stinky dog, and he needed to be bathed. So, yeah, that's definitely in the plus column. She's good with baths. Oh, all right. Was I going to say anything about anything other than my dog and the place where I live? I guess not, because I also forgot to put in my teeth. So this will be you know, the small room only, the Patreon supporters only sort of video. Or maybe I'll send out a link to people who are subscribed to the C-Realm podcast newsletter through MailChimp. That thing's years old, and I've just, you know, put together a newsletter once every year or so. I've been meaning to do one because it's clear I'm getting communications from people saying, hey, how come you haven't put out a new KMO show since episode number 3? Well, episode number 3 was the last one that I put on the C-Realm podcast RSS feed. The KMO show is a different show. It's hosted in a different place. It has its own feed. Whatever your podcast platform of choice is, to find it, just search KMO show. It should be there. And if it's not, let me know, and I will investigate what it takes to get listed with that platform. Most platforms, I think, just take their data from Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, and I think I'm on both. I'm certainly on Apple. So if you're an iTunes user or iPhone of any sort of iPhone, you know, podcast listening, I should be available. I should be there. All right. I guess I'll keep this short. Talk to you soon.